What up? Big Kirk 916. Positivity, motivation. Never settle for average. And make sure you go to bigkirk916.com. That will be my new store location for all the Never Settle for Average merch, all the Muscleup Detail Spray merch, because I just put both of those brands under my umbrella so that I can get my entrepreneurial hustle on for 2023 and pick you up some Wash That Ass soap. Yes, by popular demand, I went ahead and got that soap together for you guys. So I got 6 great scents that you can wash your ass with and feel proud when you go into public, so you're not smelling like sweaty ball sack or dirty butt. So bigkirk916.com, pick you up some Wash That Ass soap and represent. Now there's going to be a lot of big things going on moving forward into 2023 with a lot of you young people. A lot of choices to be made, a lot of decisions on your part on where you want to be in society. Do you want to continue to be a follower, part of the sheep, being led astray, and being told what to do, what to believe? Or are you going to be a voice of reason? Are you going to start making choices based on your consciousness and awareness of what's truth and what's bullshit? Because you've been fed a lot of bullshit throughout the years, just like I was fed. And I had to learn the hard way, the truths in life. And I had to bump my head a few times. And there's about to be a great separation. There already is a great separation between the haves and the have-nots, those in the know and those who are in the dark. And they keep those in the dark entertained with sports, gossip, frivolous commentary, things that really have no significance. You know, women shaking their ass, twerking, a lot of the stupid stuff you see on social media, which, you know, every now and then, I guess it's good to veg out to entertain the foolishness. But on the real, you want to get your mind right. You want to start establishing yourself so that you can have something going forward that you can live by and also set standards for your children. I know a lot of you maybe didn't have the best upbringing. Maybe you lacked a father figure. Maybe you had a single mom. Maybe you had a single dad. Maybe you were raised by your grandparents or a family relative or raised by the streets. But it's time to take responsibility and not let those things dictate your future. As long as you continue to point the finger and be a victim, you could be easily manipulated. You could justify your actions, and the powers that be, which are the people who are looking to control you, can utilize that to their advantage to make you feel weak, like you have no alternatives, which you do. You have a lot of them. You have a lot of choices you can make that could change your life. There are so many ways you can get out here and get your hustle on. You can establish yourself as a pillar in the community. You can be more responsible. And just because you didn't have maybe the right role models doesn't mean that you can't make these choices for yourself. And even if you had the right role models and you made bad choices, it's time now to own up to those choices so that you can move forward as a better person. But it all starts with you. You will have children, if you choose to, that will look to you as their role model, their superhero, their protection, their love of their life. And if you think about the qualities that you maybe wanted growing up that you didn't have, or things that you felt like you missed out on, you should try to provide those going forward for your children so that they don't have maybe those same issues. You know, no parent is perfect. You know, there are always things that you feel could have been done maybe differently, but it's a part of parenting. It's a learning thing. But you should always want your kids to be better than what you were. You should always want to bring your kids into an environment that was better than the environment you grew up in. If that's not your goal in life when you have a child, then you're just having a child because you think they're cute, because you think, oh man, I just want to have a kid. Then I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to bring a child into this world not having the financial means, not being able to have a decent place for that child to live, to be able to give that child a great education, to be a loving parent, to be able to make conscious choices and decisions for that child so that they could have greater opportunities. And one of the biggest is being able to provide resources so that your kid can be competitive, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to make a difference in the workplace and financially in the next 20 to 30 years. A lot of automation, a lot of things coming into play where jobs that people used to have aren't going to be there no more. So there's going to be less people in the workforce, but there are going to be more opportunities in the workforce for those who can provide certain trades, certain skill sets that have, you know, kind of taken to the wayside because of the lack of skills. So building right now what it is you want to go into, whether it's architecture, whether it's, you know, fabrication, metalwork, carpentry, you know, heating and air conditioning, the automotive. Think about these things. Think about these things, and also think about what direction you want your child to go into, because the dream they were selling everybody on college and education and all these things, that's great. That's great. You want to have an education, but you're not going to use trigonometry in the streets unless you're an engineer or you're somebody developing the next jet propulsion. You're not going to use a lot of the math and other equations, but what you are going to be able to use is, you know, mechanic skills, fixing skills. I mean, anything having to do with electronics. A lot of these things are going to determine the future. And I'm telling you right now, majority of those businesses they're on backlog. You know, they have so many customers that they can't even service them all. I know, because I do a lot of stuff with automotive and cars, and I mean, they're always hiring skilled people to come and work for them. So I'm just saying, you know, young people, start making your choices now. Stop making excuses. If you're out here just running around, you know, hanging out, getting high, partying, you know, doing petty crimes, maybe now's the time to say, hey, you know what? I need to make a change and transition into some things that'll prepare me. I mean, you could take a lot of these trade skills, you know, 16 months, 2 years, you know, 12 months, and be making, you know, $50 an hour in some of these jobs right off the top. You know, some of these jobs pay upwards of $100, $150 an hour. If you know how to fabricate, you know how to do metal work, you know how to work with carbon fiber, you know how to work with a lot of these different metals. I mean, there's so many different things you can do, but you have to start making those moves now. Stop making excuses, stop justifying your actions and being lazy. You know, it's easy to say, oh, you know, I don't want to do this and that. You know, everybody sees social media and thinks it's so glamorous, and oh man, I could just sit around and talk and make money. There's a handful of people that do it. There's a handful of people who are able to live off their mouthpiece, who aren't doing physical labor and, you know, provide. You know, there's there's people who are killing it in, the stock game, options and stuff like that. But, there's also skill sets that, the millionaire you never knew of that they don't really talk about, that maybe it might not be as glamorous, but there's a lot of money. So just open your eyes up, man, and start preparing yourself for these different opportunities going into the future. And before you decide to, bust a nut in one of these females and lay up and have a baby, man, maybe think about getting your foundation together and asking yourself, are you ready? Are you really ready? And do you want to have a child with a woman who doesn't necessarily look like she's mother material? Just because she has a fat ass and she can shake that thing and she, makes her coochie, do things that you never had do before, doesn't mean that it would be a great choice to have a baby with this woman. So just think a little bit more into your future and how you would want a young you to be raised, rather than being selfish for your own and thinking it's cute or fun just to go out here and have a bunch of kids and you're an absentee father. And I'm not blaming all you fathers, because I know some of the baby moms are crazy, but I'm just saying you have to be responsible and think about, hey man, is this a good choice? Because a lot of people are just making choices that are at the moment rather than thinking about the future. So just something to think about, man. I want to share this with you on Christmas Eve and give you a little bit of motivation going into the future, because there's always, stuff you can watch and just hear stupidity and nonsense and, a bunch of entertainment stuff. But I like to think about things that come from the heart that maybe could help you think, make better choices, and better moves for the future. And for those who are having even a harder time making those choices, I didn't go into the military. I had a lot of military family members, but maybe that's an option for you. I know a lot of kids now feel like they don't want to represent the country, and they feel like, hey, this is not my war, blah, blah, blah. But what are you going to do? You'd rather be a slave to another country? You'd rather have somebody else basically telling you how much you can make a month and be, subject to a socialistic or a communistic type environment? I mean, we are sold a false pretense that a lot of things we have are just the best. And I give it, man. I love the fact that we can, the right to freedom of speech, which even though it's censored a lot of the times, and the right to bear arms, protect yourself, the right to counsel, to not incriminate yourself. We have a lot of rights that we don't exercise, and that they, overlook in certain situations. But at the same time, I mean, this is a country where if you put your mind to it and you really get your hustle on, you can make something of yourself. So I'm saying, if you don't have a direct course that you want to take as far as path in life, maybe go into the military for a couple years. Take advantage of the benefits and see if that's an option for you. It's better than the streets. It's better than hanging out. If you're going to waste 3 or 4 years in the hood, hanging out and doing nothing with, dead-end jobs, go into the military, maybe take you a skill that will, get you into a trade. Or if you go to college for 2 years, a couple years, you can go in as an officer and you'll have a lot of benefits, medical, you'll have you'll be able to get a home loan, interest-free. You'll be able to do a lot of things that the person in the hood, by the time they realize it, they're in their 30s and you've already established yourself, and you have you have a foundation. So I know, people, talk bad about, oh man, that's not for me, but hey, there's a lot of other options. I would rather see you guys doing something that's going to give you a job skill that will take you into the future, rather than hanging out thinking you're going to be a professional gamer, or somebody that's just hanging out in the hood, maybe, hustling, trying to hustle a sack every day. And at the end, you would have been way better off just going to get a regular job or trade or skill set. So these are conversations I know a lot of parents don't have with you. Parents, maybe this is something you should have with your kids. And it's not that you're a failure if your kid has to go into the military or reserves but there are opportunities out there. And I think back to a lot of opportunities I didn't take advantage of that I should have, but here I am today, and I'm providing this insight and information and not making excuses for why you can't do it. You guys are young and you have a great future ahead of you. And I know a lot of times people say, oh, I'm always, banging on the blacks and, beating down the race. Well, I'm not beating down the race. I just want you to quit being a victim. Quit making excuses. And, it's not really about race to me. I speak on black because I am black. And, I know it's just a hue, but in regards to society, I know how people are judged, to an extent. But overall, this message applies to all men, whether you're black, white, Mexican, Native American, Asian. It doesn't matter. There's opportunities out there for you. And you got to think about your future and your kids and where you want to be at and how you want to maybe change your legacy so that, you can have something better than what your grandparents had. So just some game for you guys, man. Big Herc 916. Stop walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said, wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at freshoutseries.com.
Hello, I'm Big Herc 916. Contact me for life coaching and motivational speaking.